this video, we will discuss about remove linked list elements. So what is the question? Given the head of a linked list and an integer val, remove all the nodes of the linked list that has node.val equals to val and return the new head. So what they are saying is that we are given a linked list and its head is given to us in the input, and we are given another integer which is val. In this linked list, whichever node is having its value equals to this val, that node we need to delete from the linked list, and whatever is the new node that we need to return. Now in this case, if you see, 1 is not equals to 6, 2 is not equals to 6, but this 6 is equals to our val. So we have to remove this 6, and now this 2 should point to 3. This much should be removed. Then 4 is not equals to 6, 5 is not equals to 6, but this 6 is equals to our val. So we need to remove this node. So our linked list will end here. 5 will point to null. So now how are we going to approach this? So if I am at this node, I'll check that whether its value is equals to the val or not, right? In this case, it is not equals. When I would be at this node, in that case, this value would be equals to this value, right? Now this node needs to be removed. Now for removing this node, what we will have to do? We will modify the next reference of this node, right? This particular node was pointing to our node having value 6, right? So if we have to remove the node having value 6, we will have to modify the next reference of this node which is having value 2, right? So instead of checking for the current node, if we check that if we are at a node, let's suppose current node, and the value of its next node is equals to val, if we check that, then we are already having a reference to this node. We can directly change its next reference, right? So what I'm saying is that if I am at this node, right, I'm having its reference as current node, right? And I check that what is the value in the node which is present in the next of cur. So that is 6, right? And I'll check, is this 6 equals to our val? Yes, it is. So in that case, I will modify the next reference of this cur. And what I will add it in here? I'll do cur of next equals to cur of next, right? Because this 2 should now point to 3. These references should be removed. And in 2's next we have 6, and in 6 next we have 3, right? At this point, how you can access this node having value 3? By cur of next, right? So we'll do cur of next equals to cur of next, right? So now what we'll do is we'll create a pointer which will denote our current node, right? And we will assign it to head, right? So for now, let's forget about the head. Let's forget about the fact that what will happen when the value of head itself is equals to val. We will come to that later, right? We will write this code taking into consideration that we are somewhere in the middle, okay? So now till when are you going to loop? Till when are you going to iterate through your linked list? While your current's next, that means the next element, is not equals to null. Because I said at every point we were comparing that what is the value of the node which is present in current's next. And if the current's next itself is not having any node, right? In that case, we will stop our loop, right? So now we will check inside our loop that if the value of current's next, the value present in current's next is equals to the val given in the input, right? Then in that case, what we'll do? We'll do current's next equals to currents next of next, right? And if it is not, then we'll simply move forward, right? So we will do else current equals to currents next, right? Now what are we going to return? Here we can return head, right? Because head is right now pointing to the first node. Cur we have moved forward. So at the end, cur will be somewhere here, right? So now comes the point that when the value of head itself is equals to val, in that case, this node will be removed and this will become your new head, right? But if we do like this, we are not handling this case, right? We are assigning cur to head and we are checking that while cur's next is not equals to null, compare the value of current's next. So the value of head will never be compared with this val, right? So to handle this case, what we'll do is we will create a dummy node. Let's suppose I'll give it the name temp, right? And in this temps next, we will add this head, right? Then this cur, instead of starting from head, we will start it from temp, right? See, what I did was, first I created a new node named temp. We can give it any value. So new list node, let's suppose I give it the value 0, 0. Then in temps next, we will add head, right? So then this temp nodes next will be pointing to the head. Then this current we will start from temp instead of head. Then what will happen is that at the first point when it will come here, current's next value is compared with val. So current is temp and temp's next is head. So head's value will be compared with val, right? So in this case, we are able to check the value of head also with the val, right? Now let us suppose that this head's value was equal to the val. In that case, this will be removed, right? So this temps next will then point to 2, right? And if in this case it is not equals to, then it will simply move forward, right? So in this case, the head is this. And if the head's value was equals to val, in that case, your head would become this node, right? So what will you return here? You need to return your new head, which will always be present in temps next, right? Because temps next is pointing here. And if this node was removed, then it would point here, right? So we can return temps next here, right? So this is how we would be able to approach this problem. So now let's code it out. So first we will create a temp node. So list node temp equals to new list node. We'll give it a value as 0. Then in the temps next, we will give head, right? Then we'll create a new pointer current node, which will start from temp. Now while our currents next is not equals to none, what we'll do, we'll check that if current's next value is equals to val, then in that case we'll do current's next equals to current's next of next. Otherwise, we'll do cur equals to current's next. And at the end, we will return temps next, right? So now let's run this. So we are only iterating in our linked list once. So its time complexity will be order of n, where n are the number of linked list nodes. So now let's submit this. So it got accepted. Thank you so much for watching.